This is Heartrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Welcome. It is Terri Levine here from Heartrepreneur, and I'm delighted that you are joining us once again today. And just as a reminder, Heartrepreneur stands for doing business with transparency, with integrity, and with authenticity. So just notice if you're doing that in your business or if you may be a bit transactional. At Heartrepreneur, we focus only on our client family members. We're not hunting for prospective clients. So we're here today to help you. And today I am so excited about the show. I've been looking forward to it so much. This is going to be a goodie, trust me, because I have a friend of mine who I not only love and adore, who I believe is one of the most masterful people and is going to share information with you that you're going to want to really tune into. No multitasking, pay attention. Charlie Cina captivates his audience. He teaches them how to master the art of the introduction. I want you to think about that a minute. Have you ever been trained in the art of introduction? I didn't know anybody trained anyone in that, and it's brilliant. So once you know the art of introduction, you can attract high-level clients, you can reach your personal potential, and most importantly, you can drive massive revenue. So I'm telling you, Charlie does it all. He writes, he speaks, he consults, and his followers are known as the disciples of sales. That's pretty cool. Charlie believes that the ability to present and persuade are necessary life skills that everyone needs to succeed. And I could not agree with him more. Charlie teaches the primary responsibility in your business is to expose your brand, expose your products, expose your services, and expose your solutions. Really pay attention to that. And that's how you build long-lasting revenue relationships. That just makes so much sense. So I have to tell you, he's done everything. He's worked with and collaborated with that is with a B, billion-dollar brands. He has acquired clients that are at the top of the motivational speakers. I'll drop a few names here. How about Tony Robbins? How about Les Brown, Eric Thomas? I can go on and on. He's had 30 years of boots on the ground. And I have to tell you, I just trust him. I believe in him. I know that he has a simple formula that is going to help you connect with the high-level clients that you actually want. So here's my friend, my guest, and my expert, Charlie Cina. Hi, Charlie.
I missed that. Can you repeat it? Man, you're awesome. I'm walking on water today.
Well, let me tell you, that is not my typical introduction, as our viewers and listeners know. I usually give a very short intro. However, you're very unusual. Your background is unusual and what you do is unusual. So let's start with, how did you get into this profession? What drew you here?
Are you talking about sales, or are you talking about the speaking and authoring component?
I'm talking about all of it. What led you down this awesome path?
Well, I think what led me down the path is as a young kid, I grew up in Buffalo, New York. So we're kind of neighbors. You're in Philadelphia, right? So
yeah,
you know
I grew up in Yonkers, New York.
Yeah. So summers are great. Winters aren't so great. But I learned at an early age that you had to hustle. I would watch older kids. At the time, growing up, who was at the convenience store getting baseball cards or the new little widget toy or whatever, and the newspaper. Lady used to be down the street. She used to open up her garage, and all the kids from the surrounding area used to come and get the paper. So I was never old enough. At the time, I was maybe 6, 7, 8. And then I said, I want to be a paper boy. But prior to, I started shoveling driveways and raking leaves. And then finally, I was old enough to become a paper boy, and I found out what the best paper route was, and it was in a high-rise tower that was 3 blocks from my house. So I went to this young man who at this point now was 16 and used to do his, pull up his car, throw his papers in the back of the trunk. And I said, hey, what's it going to take for me to get your paper? And I'm like 11, 12 at the time. He said, give me $100, kid, and you got the route. So
wow.
I had some money saved, went back home. I gave him $100. He handed me his paper route. So in the winter, I would deliver my papers. It would take me about 10 minutes in the winter once I got there, but it was heated in the winter, air conditioned in the summer. And that particular business allowed me to understand a simple concept, which was the more you introduce, the more you produce. Because I knew that the more papers I delivered when I went to collect every week, right? I don't remember what I made, maybe 50 cents a door or whatever it was, but it wasn't the 50 cents a door. It was the $1 or $2 or gifts that the, sweet little old ladies on the 5th and 6th floor, used to leave me. So I knew that knocking doors and learning how to overcome objections, because everyone didn't say yes, I knew that would increase my distribution. So it sounds very, very basic, which it is, but it's not, because in business, it's all about introducing yourself, your business, your brand, and increasing your distribution, your services, or, the reverse is customer acquisition. You're going to distribute your product, acquire a customer, acquire your product, distribute. So that's really where I started. And it taught me, in retrospect, it really taught me a lot.
I have to say that is like really brilliant. And, to go up and say, what's it going to take to get the paper route? Most people wouldn't ask that, right? So that's a really great way to just break in and just, you steal Nike's words, just do it. I have a similar story. I was a Girl Scout in Yonkers, New York, and I lived in an apartment complex. There were just apartments everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so it was Girl Scout cookie selling time, right? And I just figured, well, the more doors I knock on, the more cookies I'll sell. I never thought of, well, what if people say no? Or I just never thought of it. So I just knocked on doors, wore my little uniform, and the next thing I knew, I had sold more Girl Scout cookies than any Girl Scout in the entire state of New York.
Right.
And it was a great lesson for me. It does go with, asking and exposing and introducing. It goes with all that. The lesson for me was the more people I ask, the more people that say yes. And that stayed with me, and it's how I built all my businesses.
Yeah, no question. And you said something in the intro, and I don't know if I'm going to articulate it exactly, but you said we don't go and force or look for prospects.
Right.
And I think, let me rephrase that. I know a lot of people miss the organic opportunities that are right in front of them every day. So one thing I teach and preach, whether I'm speaking on a stage at an insurance conference or a real estate conference, whether I'm going in and doing a workshop or going even into a small, medium business, is I'll tell them straight up, there's organic opportunities that are right there. You're on a plane, you're on a train, you're at your dry cleaners, you're at your daughter's dance recital. People just need to get very good at reaching out, saying hello, and then, mastering the art of the introduction, mastering their power presentation, if you will.
So let's talk about that power presentation. Let's say I don't know you. I'm sitting next to you on an airplane, and hey, how you doing? How you doing? Then what?
Well, the $1 million question in business, no matter which side of the conversation you're on, is what do you do? So whether you're asking the question, what do you do? Or you're receiving the question, what do you do? Right? It's going to come out in a conversation, especially in a business environment, or even again, you're traveling on a plane. Most people will give their title. They'll say, oh, I'm a insurance agent, or I'm a receptionist, or what have you. But that's where they miss it. That's the title on your card. And that's how we've been program. You take out your business card and you hand it to somebody and you say, oh yeah, I'm a receptionist. Well, that's not what you do. What company do you represent? And what does that company do? What problem does that company solve for a client? And that's really the direction that you need to take the conversation when that question's asked, and most people don't.
I love that. So take a note of that. What problem do you solve? Yesterday, this is so perfect in timing. Yesterday, I had a break in the late afternoon. As people might know, I live in Mexico in the winter. That's why my background isn't my typical background, which is beautiful. And so yesterday I took a break during the day and I was taking a walk on the beach and just started chatting with a woman who was also walking. And she did ask me, what do you do? She said, are you retired? I said, no. She said, are you working from here? I said, yeah. She said, well, what do you do? And my answer wasn't, I'm a business consultant, I'm a speaker, I'm an author. I said, I work with small business owners and I double and triple their revenue guaranteed. And she grabbed my arm and said, oh my gosh, we have to talk. Now, think about the difference in that, right? Right. So that's your point. Yes.
Yeah. I met a guy at a conference. This is maybe a year and a half now, 2 years, almost 2 years ago to the date, I think. Went to a sales conference here at Mandalay Bay. It was a Grant Cardone sales conference, 10,000 people. And as I was going into the conference, it was packed. Now I know Grant and all of his people. So the one guy saw me and kind of was like, come this way. And I still had to go through people. And I said, you know what? I appreciate you. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. So I sit down at the Starbucks at Mandalay Bay, open up my laptop, and there, this gentleman sits next to me with his baby boy, maybe 12 months old. So I said to the gentleman, reached over, I said, hi, my name's Charlie. What's your name? He said, Lester. I said, Lester, nice to meet you. He said, nice to meet you. I said, what do you do? He said, well, I'm a speaker and a trainer. Well, as you know, what I do is I help speakers and trainers with an online training platform. I help them create content that they can sell online. So he looked at me and said, what do you do? Well, I knew exactly what power presentation I was going to give him. I said, well, Lester, I empower speakers, trainers, and subject matter experts just like you to monetize your content online, worldwide, guaranteed in just 3 easy steps. And he goes, oh my God, I need that. Long story short, I flipped open my laptop, right? I showed him the 3 easy steps, which were, I'm going to present your content in a way that's unforgettable online and offline. I'm going to position you where you become the only logical choice, where people are going to want to buy your content. And then you're going to profit while you sleep by recreating this residual income by selling your content online. The guy took out his credit card. Boom. So literally in 30 minutes, complete stranger in a hotel, I'm sitting there with a laptop and we did business. So I do business, 24/7 on a plane, on a train. I've done deals, washing my hands coming out of a bathroom where a guy will say, hey, are you from here? Or nice sport coat, and a conversation ignites. And before you know it, here's the real key. Your audience should write this down. Here's your objective. If you're a business owner, a sales professional, if you're just out there looking to build even personal relationships, you have to learn how to have conversations that convert.
Conversations that convert. That's important.
Conversations that convert. So when you can, connect with somebody and convey who you are, right? What you do, your intentions, you will have conversations that convert. And now you're not selling, you're not being pushy, you're not being awkward. And when you can have those conversations and spark interest or pique interest within that other individual, I call it a reverse call to action, right? To your point as you opened. You don't have to be pushy, you don't have to prospect. People will want what you have versus you having to convince them that you have what they need.
So it's so interesting. We are so aligned. Like the first time we met, I just knew this. So in my book, Sell Without Selling, Lessons from the Jungle for Sales Success, I teach the concept of reverse marketing. So every single day, people raise their hand and they come to me and they ask me questions versus me going, here's my stuff. My stuff is great. Buy my stuff. I can help you. And that is what I teach. It's really important though, because I had an opportunity to look at your amazing online platform. So I'd like to make sure we talk about that. And
Sure.
let's tell people really quickly where they can check you out, where they can reach you, where they can connect with you. And let's talk about your online platform.
Sure. So for the past 8 years, as I said earlier, I've been helping people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas. I don't know if anyone's out there has watched the show Cake Boss. Buddy Velastro makes all the crazy cakes.
Yeah, I love that.
I acquired him as a client, by the way, by cold calling him and having my power presentation down.
Wow.
So when you can master that introduction and that power presentation, doesn't matter whether you're making a cold call or a one-on-one meeting or an email. When you can master that presentation and that verbiage, it opens doors. That said, I help them create online training platforms so they can deliver their content 24/7 worldwide. So 2 years ago, when I started getting asked to speak, and then I started the process of writing my book, the natural progression for me, for lack of a term, was to get high on my own supply, right? I'm like, I've been selling it, right? Now I've got to be a user of it. So I went in the studio, recorded the content, and the content, the platform itself is the Expose and Close Academy, and it is designed to help people make sales easy. It's designed to help people make marketing easy. And when I say marketing, I'm not talking about billboard advertising. I'm talking about advertising your brand, right? Your personality on a day-to-day basis, again, with the organic opportunities that are right in front of you. So there's about 3.5, 4 hours of content on there. I broke it up into real simple, digestible chunks to where you can go on, you watch a 3-4 minute module, you digest it, you go on to the next one, and you can plug in from any laptop, desktop, or mobile device, which is really cool. So people, even in their car, if they just want to plug in and listen to it as audio versus video, that's certainly possible.
Brilliant. And I have checked it out, and I'd like to be on the platform, so you and I need to talk about that. And I'm going to say you really need to check it out. So where can they find it, and who is it designed for specifically?
They can go to exposeandclose.com, EXPOSE and close.com. And it's really been designed for, I'm going to say, anybody that is out in the world that needs to acquire customers, that needs to get a job, that wants to build relationships. And I don't say that in a generic fashion. The whole concept for Expose and Close came to be because a young guy showed up at my office that heard me doing a Facebook Live about John Taffer. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Bar Rescue on TV. It's a reality show.
Oh, yeah, I have watched that just once.
Well, John goes in there and rescues bars. So I was telling my story, again, how I did the knock and acquired John as a client. I called John. I tried talking to his people. I emailed him, voicemailed, like couldn't get attention. So what I did, I found out he moved to Las Vegas, his operation to Vegas. I went old school. I got in my car, went, and I went like this.
Really knock.
Right? So there's I actually rang a buzzer, truth be told. There was a buzzer there, camera. I was dressed up every day. I'm dressed, and they buzzed me in, and the girl said, "Can I help you?" I said, "I'm here to see John." She said, "Well, he's not in. Do you have an appointment?" "No, I don't, but I need to see him." "Well, what's it pertaining to?" "Well, I empower speakers and trainers," right? Went in there with my power pitch. The vice president came up, and I ended up signing John Taffer. Had a meeting with him 3 days later. That being said, this young gentleman saw that podcast or that Facebook Live. He shows up. He does the knock on me. He just shows up and said, "I drove from LA. I wanted to meet you and somebody else here in Vegas." And I gave him my card, which had my personal cell number on it. And before you know it, the phone calls start coming in, and I'm mentoring this young man. not even realizing that I'm mentoring. I mean, for me, that's what I love to do. So he'd call me and I'd leave the dinner table and my wife would go, "Where are you going?" Long story short, he decided that he was going to do an event, and he protéged under Les Brown. And he said, "Les has agreed to come in and do the event." I said, "Well, that's awesome." He said, "Would you come in and speak?" And I said, "Well, Andy, what would you like me to speak about?" He goes, "Well, how did you get John Taffer? And how did you get Les Brown? And how did you get Tony Robbins?" And I said to him, "Well, I just expose and close." And he goes, "Oh, so you have an expose and close like marketing system?" And that's when the bell went off for me. I'm like, "Yes, I do." And I hung up the phone with him. I bought the domain. I was in the process of writing a book, and that's when it all changed for me. It just all came together. So sometimes our answers we already have, and we're actually giving them out as advice, and they're right in front of us. So that's how I wrote the book. That's how I started speaking, and that's what really prompted me to then say, I'm going to make my own virtual training platform, and it's been great. Selling it from stages when I speak, and people are buying it online. And like a book, it's just another way for people to engage in my content, which is powerful.
Yeah. So for the viewers and listeners, if you don't have a system like that, if you don't have a great introduction like that, if you're looking to get exposure and have an online system that exposes for you and that helps for you, you're definitely going to want to go over to Expose and Close. And I'm going to say that, I have checked out a lot of online systems. I've owned a lot of online systems. Just to be blunt, I won't name which ones. I haven't really been impressed by most of them. And in fact, we've used a few and I've said, no, that's not good. When I got your system and went into it, I was like, holy cow, this is so much better than anything I've seen. So I don't typically endorse people's systems unless I, use them and I'm a big fan. I definitely endorse the system. And I've said to my own client family members, if you own a small business, if you're a speaker, if you're a trainer, if you're an author, if you're a content creator, or you just own a business and you want more client family members through what I call reverse marketing or reverse selling, where people actually come to you, they get familiar with you. This is the system. This is the system. When someone perhaps is listening or watching and they say, wow, I like Charlie, how could you not? Like Charlie's information, he's a bright guy, maybe they want you to come speak. What are some of the kinds of topics, if I wanted you to come to, let's say, an event that I'm hosting, what's a topic that would be a great topic for you to speak on?
Well, presenting on purpose is one. Right? How do you present on purpose? And then I go over the art of the introduction, but then I go into tips, strategies, and techniques, not only from the point of the introduction, but then how do you start taking people through the sales process within that first 60 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then by the time you get them on the telephone or on a demo or, a one-on-one meeting or whatever the case might be, I believe 80% of that deal, right, or opportunity is closed at hello. So presenting on purpose is one. I give my topic specific to expose and close. Short version is you need to use every road, tip, strategy, technique to educate yourself and get to the bank. So, you and I are in the space. I'm having an event like you. I'm starting to do my own events, and it's amazing to me when you invite people to an event. People will say, "Well, I'm pretty successful," or I'm doing well. People don't maximize their potential in their space, so they dominate. So one of the big things with the whole expose and close that I focus on is the how-to, and ultimately you need to educate yourself in order to elevate yourself so you can dominate your space. Then when you educate yourself, you can educate others. right? Now they're getting educated. Now they're elevating. Now they're dominating. So again, business owner, speaker, trainer, housewife, dad, it doesn't matter. We're all here to mentor. And I use the term disciple of sales because I believe that really nothing out there is new. I mean, we're both in the space, right? A new musician comes out, chances are the same instruments and the same notes are being played, right? The difference is how do you put your own personality into it, your own strategy, your own creativity. So I'm just trying to make sales easy for everybody, marketing easy for everybody, networking easy for everybody, where they can go out and shake a hand and, eventually get them to shout from the rooftops who they are, what they do, and what problems they can help people solve.
And I think this is really important because I constantly talk to business owners and they're going to meetups, they're going to, the leads groups and BNI and LaTip, and they're joining all this networking. And I'll ask them, is that working for you? And they're like, oh, no, not really. And I'm like, well, what do you say at these meetings? And they have some memorized, like corny pitch. I'm the dream creator. I help people turn their dreams to reality. I'm like, I don't have a clue what you do. I really don't even know what that means. And they really aren't creating relationships. They aren't doing a power pitch. And one of the things I want the audience to take notice of, because I've been listening the whole time and fascinated by this, in almost every answer to every question, Charlie's given you 3 words. He's made it simple. He's made it easy. He's giving you 3 words that are the key concept of everything he says. And for me, that gets me intrigued and interested. It's like, dominate your space. What do you mean by that? There's 3 words. If you really go back, and I'm going to recommend that you re-watch this episode, that you re-listen to it, and that you certainly read the blog post transcript at heartrepreneur.com/blog, where you can actually read the transcript. And just giving you a tip on what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight every time Charlie uses 3 words, because I'm telling you, those are nuggets that are very, very important. And even in what he does, expose and close, you have 2 words. They're simple. They open me up to curiosity. At the same time, I know the result. So if you're sitting here listening and watching and you're saying, wow, I would like to be exposed to more ideal client family members, and yes, I would like to close more of them or have them close themselves and buy from me so that I can help more people in the world by delivering the one result I deliver, then you're going to want to go to exposeandclose.com. Charlie, what do you have to say to anyone who's listening and says, now what? So what's the number one action that you want people to take as a result of our conversation today?
Well, I don't believe in motivation. And what I mean by that is motivation is kind of like happiness, right? No one's happy all day, every day, 24/7, right? I believe inspiration is more powerful. So my whole key for 2020, and this is me personally, is I am taking inspired actions. So if I'm inspired, if I have a thought, right? Thoughts are things. If I have a thought, I want to implement it. I want to take time out of the equation and I want to implement it quickly. That said, I believe that when you wake up in the morning, you have to wake up inspired, take action with the right intention. The first thing that you should do, your first intention, is the following. It's kind of like my little nursery rhyme. Okay. It should be your intention when you wake up in the morning to get attention. Once you get somebody's attention, you want to get them to pay attention. And once you get them to pay attention, eventually they'll pay you for your attention.
Wow.
So it should be your intention to get attention. Once you get somebody's attention, now you're going to get them to pay attention. How you're going to have pique their interest. You involve them in the sales process. And it might not be a sales process from a standpoint of wanting to sell them something, right? Maybe I just want to build a relationship with Terri or her husband, or invite them to my church, whatever, right? And then once you get them to pay attention, they'll pay you for your attention, right? They'll take your invitation. They'll come to your event. They'll come to your church. They'll buy your product. They'll give you a referral. They'll end up coming to Vegas, and you'll go to dinner, and you'll bring your friend to this lavish restaurant for big bowls of strawberries and whipped cream. So that's the thing.
That's beautiful. I have to say that's just wisdom. That is wisdom. This is one of the many things that attracts me to Charlie. So go to exposeandclose.com. Charlie, anything else they should go to or look at before we...
Exposeandclose.com is where I offer my online training program. You can also link there to my charliechina.com website that is specific for consulting, for speaking events, one-on-one coaching.
Brilliant. Charlie, first of all, I want to thank you not only for being my guest, for the amazing wisdom that you provide, and more importantly, for being someone that I consider a great friend that I am looking forward to spending more time with. And I want to make sure that I expose you to more of the people in my world, because I know they need what you have.
Terri, thank you. Feelings are mutual. It was great to spend time with you and Mark when you visited Vegas, and I look forward to nurturing the relationship and doing more things together.
100%. So for our audience, I really recommend, and you've probably never heard me say this before if you've been watching or listening to the show, and I don't know that I'll ever say this again. You're really going to want to revisit this episode numerous times. And as I said, when it is transcribed, which it is at heartrepreneur.com/blog, this is what I'm going to do. This is called a clue. Go listen for some of the key words that Charlie used. I've never had a guest, and I've been doing radio shows for 25 years. I have never had a guest who has dropped more nuggets in a short amount of time. So you owe it to yourself to go to exposeandclose.com. Number one action. Number two action is re-listen, rewatch, and 100%. I'm going to tip my hand here and tell you what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to go through the transcript on the blog, and I'm going to highlight and copy some of these words because they are brilliant nuggets of wisdom. If you have an opportunity to hear Charlie speak, if he's doing an event, go. If you are looking for help with your introduction, with your power presentation, with Expose and Close, this is the guy. And if you want more exposure and more client family members, then definitely become someone who uses the platform at exposeandclose.com. So once again, Charlie, thank you for joining me. Really appreciate you being here. And thank you once again to you, our viewers and our listeners, for being here and joining us today. Bye now.
You've been listening to Heartrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart, with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe on iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog, or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.